Hello, everyone. Glad you can join the Coping the COVID Era webinar. I'm James from HighHeartWellness, and I'm here to talk about some of the mental and emotional ramifications relating to the pandemic that could be happening for our clients. Now, this isn't specifically regarding COVID, the virus, and the symptoms and how to treat it. Hopefully in each of our networks, we have references and resources to either send people or we can help people in a base level with that. But from my recent experience, I'm noticing that there is a need for clients to have the space to discuss how that's affecting them, both whether they've had the virus or whether or not it's affected other people in their lives, and whether or not it's just affected how things have changed in their daily routines or lifestyles. So that's the scope of practice right now that we can have as health practitioners. And yeah, you'll see in the slides here, I have HPs for health practitioners, whether that's a holistic health coach or anyone else in the field that would be doing one-on-one work with clients and where these concerns around COVID might come up. So health practitioners can provide that space for the client to process what's been happening the past few years and to help them recalibrate and move forward with having a better understanding how they've been affected by this. From a holistic perspective, all of these areas in our lives are interconnected. So usually when one thing gets affected, sometimes there's a direct effect and sometimes there's an indirect effect. So I think at the point right now where we're at with something new like COVID, we're seeing how it's getting interconnected to various aspects of our lives. Some people were affected that they work from home now. Other people are affected because a family member got sick and had a tough experience with it. All different scenarios as to why somebody would be directly affected by it or indirectly, or how different parts of their lives, different areas of their lives are affected. So each client will have their own personal experience. So a good way to enter is to have them share what that experience is and to ask them, how do they feel about what's occurred for them? We all have our own personal experiences and our personal views, but as the practitioner, we want to keep that to ourselves and allow the client to share about their experience. And the response to COVID has influenced many areas. So let them address which ones come up for them. Of course, you can lead the discussion and ask about specific areas, but what you want to try to happen is see which area is most tender for them and let them discuss that portion. We want to be a reliable resource. So most individuals, I wrote some here, but most are dealing with confusion and trying to find who's reliable, what's happening, what resources they can go to trust. So you can be that reliable resource for them, that you have your network of trusted sources, both of information as well as scientific research, that you can help them feel more at home with the knowledge that they're receiving. So once again, it can be a sensitive topic for somebody. So you want to see where they're at, and then you could see what you can offer them to help ease their confusion or whatever concerns they're having. And I think that we want to encourage them to have curiosity and questioning for themselves, not to just rely on a particular news source or scientific resource, to actually you know, do some experimentation, at least in terms of thinking and curiosity. So you want to hold the space for that, and also hold the space for their beliefs and experiences. And sometimes that might not match what your beliefs and experiences are. And I think every practitioner right now has to say, am I able to hold space for somebody that might have different beliefs and experiences? We do that for other topics. So now we have to do that with COVID. And somebody might not share the same belief as you. And that's something that doesn't have to be resolved in a particular session or in the sessions at all. That could just be something that you hold to yourself. You find support with others, other practitioners, and continue to see how best to serve your clients. So, not to put the physical component aside, we want to focus on the mental and emotional well being, at least the broader strokes of that. So, there are psychological reasons for someone to zoom in to a concern like COVID. And that could be beneficial to them, especially if they have the virus. But we eventually want to zoom them out and provide them assistance in that process. Otherwise, they won't be integrating that experience or the knowledge and perspective they're gaining there to the other areas of their lives. So, usually, when it's high stress and a lot of confusion, people tend to hunker down, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. So we want to see where our clients are at in that process and how to help expand them again. Not too fast, don't overwhelm them in the other direction, but if they continually stay zoomed in and only focus on this one area, I think we all know that other areas of their lives will be negatively affected because there won't be balance there. So we want to bring some of that expansion and balance back into their lives. And part of how we do that is through validation of their experience and affirming what they feel and what they've experienced. So to have that discussion with them and to allow the space for them to articulate the words. I know for me, with some recent clients, I am very well aware that how they're sharing about this experience is in a way that they haven't been able to experience with anyone else. So that's extremely valuable for them to have that time with me to share in such a way. So as their practitioner, I want to hold the space for them and allow them to do that. And most people who do some form of coaching have a technique or a style or some type of framework that they use. So whether it's cognitive behavioral therapy or reevaluation counseling, I've just been learning more about internal family systems and a protector part. So sometimes you can bring some of that language or that perspective in to allow people to maybe see what is part of what's going on for how they're coping with this phase of their lives. And whether it's a new normal or not, I think the key here is to focus on lifestyle. Once again, we will be a resource for them, but we also have our network of resources that we can always reference the client to, or we can reference ourselves and bring back that information for our client. If there's anything more specific regarding the physical nature, or even some of the mental and emotional resources that are out there. But for us in sessions, we can focus on the lifestyle component and lean into the positives of what's recently happened for them. Um, we always go through changes. So during this phase, though, people could have been inundated with changes. So which of those changes actually are feeling okay, that they're leaning into, and it might have even been a good thing? And then you could shift the discussion to what parts of the changes have been stressful or burdensome or anxious for them. And the key is to keep checking in about how they're feeling and what they're thinking about these changes. So yeah, what areas are okay and what areas are negatively affecting them, and what they can do to either cope with the negative affect or to change it. Social network. Already year to year, we're increasing our time online. So over the past few years, I know for many, there's been a shift to spending even more time online. So a good thing to check into regarding this, just a broad foundational aspect of what's been happening, is what is someone's online in-person balance? What's their ratio of time spent either socializing online or consuming information online? Um, that could definitely compound someone's negative affect. So also addressing any isolation that someone might be feeling, because even though when you're online, it seems social, it doesn't necessarily give the same sensation and same magnitude of experience as you would with someone in real life. So this could lead to some disconnection for some people. So you want to check in with that, and then question whether or not they feel that their need for community is being met. And there's something that I've coined as cognitive affective differentiation, which is similar to SAD, seasonal affective disorder. So some of my clients, whether it's with their friends or family members, they have differing views and experiences about the whole COVID pandemic. So for some people, this has caused a lot of extra strife and stress in their lives. So to have the space for them to share about their experience with these differences that they're having with some of the primary relationships in their lives, this can seem like another blow in all of this confusion for them. So they might have lost some support, or the relationships just might be having more challenges than usual. So when people speak to this, once again, we want to validate their experience, and we want to hear them articulate what they're experiencing, and whatever our particular view as a practitioner is, we kind of need to put that aside. I know it can be tempting to want to steer somebody in a direction regarding information, but I think in these moments, it's really important to stay focused on the client's mood and affect, like hone into their feelings and allow that to come up for them, and that they could express and have some relief in sharing about the magnitude of what this means for them. Uh, every practitioner is going to make their own choices on additional information to share, and that could be done. I would just suggest that that's done at the end of the session. Maybe it could be a recommendation, or just further discussion. But in the moment, uh, it's not a place to challenge or to expound upon, the cognitive resources. So that's what I mean there by cognitive affective differentiation. And yeah, the goal, if there is one, right? It's all process, but if there is some type of goal, it's finding center. It's allowing that individual in this now moment to feel as centered as they possibly can. So reinforcing what works for them, revisit the toolbox. Maybe they'll tell stories of other times where they felt similarly, but yet this situation is new, but they can remember other tools in the past that have worked for them. So sure, we can suggest tools for them, but I've seen that usually people are more successful with tools that they've already used, and maybe they're just not thinking to use them right now. So to find some way to revisit that toolbox with them and to see what tools that they could use right now for this new experience. And of course, we want to encourage them to build a support system. So the lovely thing about speaking about support is that you're already in that support role for them. So to encourage that they continue to work with you and to encourage them to build that network, that they can use it as a safety net, as some type of platform, or, not just to use when they're in a bind or when life has gotten so challenging. It's like, definitely need to encourage that. And that's something that I've been very surprised to hear from clients recently, is that they feel that their support network is no longer there, or is no longer as sturdy as it once was. So rebuilding that is going to set the foundation for everything else moving forward. And then final note is that you're not attached to their outcome. I know when I first started doing my coaching, I wanted to champion their wins. I wanted people to get to the goal that they were speaking of. And then I realized it was getting too attached to something in the future. So instead, I shifted that to championing their process. So hold a space for them to discuss their process, and then you can champion them along the way. And that is the discussion. So if you have any questions, please you can email me, or contact me any way you know how, but there's my email there. And yeah, I think that this discussion is going to continue. I'll see other ways that I could provide support regarding this topic and how it fits into the work that we're already doing. And yeah, even we have to revisit some of those tools that we had for different reasons and kind of repurpose them for where we're at now in society and culture, and what's affecting people most right now. And yes, to support one another. So I'm happy to support whoever needs more support in this area. Thank you so much.